Hi, I'm back. I'll be reading some more from the Bible, and I am using the reading app for the daily audio Bible app, and I'm in the chronological section, and so I'll be reading for January 22nd, 2021, and so I'll be reading Genesis chapters 30 and 31. Chapters 30 and 31. Oops. Rachel. History seems to repeat itself here. Twice a twice a town well at Haran was the site of significant events in one family story. It was here that Rebecca met Eliezer, Abraham's servant, who would come to find a wife for Isaac. Some 40 years later, Rebecca's son Jacob returned the favor by serving his cousin Rachel and her sheep from the same well. The relationship that developed between them not only reminds us that romance is not a modern invention, but also teaches us a few lessons about patience and love. Jacob's love for Rachel was both patient and practical. Jacob had the patience to wait 7 years for her, but he kept busy in the meantime. His commitment to Rachel kindled a strong loyalty within her. In fact, her loyalty to Jacob got out of hand and became self-destructive. And became self-destructive. Self-destructive. She was frustrated by her barrenness and and death. She was frustrated by her barrenness and desperate to compete with her sister for Jacob's affection. She was trying to gain from Jacob what he had already given her devoted love. Rachel's attempts to earn the unhonorable or a picture of a much greater of a greater error we can make like her. We find ourselves like her. We find ourselves trying somehow to earn love, God's love, but apart from His word, we end up with one of two false ideas. Either we think we have been good enough to deserve His love, or we recognize we aren't able to earn His love and assume that it cannot be ours if the Bible makes no other point. It shouts this one: God loves us. His love had no beginning and is incredibly patient. All we need to do is respond, not try to earn what is freely offered. God has said in many ways, "I love you." I have demonstrated that love to you by all I have done for you. I have even sacrificed my son Jesus to pay the price for what is unacceptable about you, your sin. Now live because of my love. Respond to me. Love me with your whole being. Give yourself to me in thanksgiving, not as payment. live life fully in the freedom of knowing you are loved. You are loved. Strengths and accomplishments. Strengths. Strengths and accomplishments. I can't do this. Strengths and accomplishments. She showed great loyalty to her family. She mothered Joseph and Benjamin. After being barren for many years, weaknesses and mistakes or envy and competitiveness mortal relationship with her sister Leah. She was capable of dishonesty when she took her loyalty too far. She failed to recognize that Jacob's devotion was not dependent on her ability to have children. Lessons from her life. Loyalty must be controlled by what is true and right. Love is accepted, not earned. Vital statistics. Where? HARRAN. Occupation. Shepherdess. Housewife. Relatives. Father. LABAN. Aunt. Rebecca. Aunt Rebecca. Sister Leah. Husband Jacob. Sons Joseph and Benjamin. Key verse. So Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel home, but they seem like only a few days to him because of his love for her. Genesis chapter 29 verse 20. Rachel's story is told in Genesis chapter 29 verse 1 to Genesis chapter 35 verse 20. She is also mentioned in Ruth chapter 4 verse 11. Verse 11. Genesis chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. So she said to Jacob, "Give me children or I will die." Jacob became angry with her and said, "Am I in the place of God who has kept you from having children?" Then she said, "Here is Bilhah, my servant. Sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and I too can build a family through her." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Then Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son." Because of this, she named him Dan. Rachel's servant, Bilhah, conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "What good fortune!" So she named him Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, "How happy I am! The woman will call me happy." So she named him Asher. During wheat harvest, Reuben went out into the fields and found some mandrake plants, which he brought to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your sons' mandrakes. But she said to her, wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take my son's mandrakes too? Very well, Rachel said. He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes. So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. You must sleep with me, she said. I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. So he slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a fifth son. Then Leah said, God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband. Named, so she named him Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor because I have borne him six sons. So she named him Zebulun. Sometime later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph and said, May the Lord add to me another son. Another son. Jacob's flocks increased. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me on my way so I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I have done for you. But Laban said to him, If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. He added, Name your wages, and I will pay them. Jacob said to him, You know how I have worked for you, and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for my own household? What shall I give you? He asked. Don't give me anything, Jacob replied. But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages, and my honesty will testify for me in the future. Whenever you check on the wages, you have paid me any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark colored will be considered stolen. Agreed, said Laban. Let it be as you have said. That same day he removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats. All that had white on them, and all the dark-colored lambs, and he placed them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of Laban Patrice's flocks. Jacob, however, took fresh cut branches from popular almond and plane trees and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the other branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs, so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they made it in front of the branches, and they bore young that was streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animals that belong to Laban. Thus he made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban Potiphar's animals. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in the troughs in front of the animals, so they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban and the strong ones to Jacob. In this way the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks and female, male servants and camels and donkeys. Jacob's children. This chart shows from left to right Jacob's children in the order in which they were born. Jacob, M, Zilpah, Leah's servant Gad, Gad, and Asher, M, Leah, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dinah, only daughter, M, Rachel, Joseph, Benjamin, M, Bilhah, Dan, Naphtali, M, married. Jacob's many wives, two wives, and two substitute wives led to sad and bitter consequences among the children. Anger, resentment, and jealousy were common among Jacob's sons. It is interesting to note that there was fighting and rivalry occurred between Leah's children and Rachel's children, and among the tribes that descended from them. Jacob returns home. Jacob flees from Laban. Genesis chapter 31. Jacob heard that Laban, Potiphar's sons, were saying, Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father. And Jacob noticed that Laban Potiphar's attitude toward him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He said to them, I see that your father's attitude toward me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said the speckled ones will be your wages, then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young, And if he said, the streaked ones will be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me. In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock was streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. I answered, Here I am. And he said, Look up and see. That all? That all? The male goats mating with the flock or streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that. For I have seen all that Leban has been doing to you. I am the God of Betgel, where you anointed a pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land. Then Rachel and Leah replied, Do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not? Not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has you used up what was paid for us. Surely all the well, surely all the wealth that God took away from our Father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him along with all the goods he had accumulated in Paddan to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Leban had gone to share his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Leban, the Aramean, by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had, crossed the Euphrates River, and headed for the hill country of Gilead. Laban pursues Jacob. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled, taking his relatives with him. He pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, What have you done? You have deceived me, and you have carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run up secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I I I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your fathers said to me, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered Laban, I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live in the presence of our relatives. See for yourself whether there was anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the other two female servants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." So we searched, but could not find the household gods. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you? I wronged you. That you hunt me down. You hunt me down. You hunt me down. Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, no have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring your animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your two daughters, and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the Pharaoh of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you." Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us. Between us." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, gather some stones. So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegarsahadutha, and Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." That is why it was called Galeed. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives beside my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar. I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of the Father, judge between us. Judge between us. So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. And returned home. Okay, that's all. Bye for now.